Delegates from 54 African countries and 15 observer nations will next week converge on Abuja for the 31st meeting of heads of National Drug Law Enforcement Agencies Africa (HONLAF) to discuss new trends and build partnerships to curb the global drug scourge. This was disclosed by the Secretary to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Shadrach Haruna, in Abuja. The event, which will be hosted by the NDLEA, will address issues of alternative development to cannabis cultivation, asset forfeiture, cryptocurrency and money laundering by drug cartels in the continent. Haruna says the meeting is timely as participants will brainstorm on developing strategies to combat drug trafficking trade.
The reason for this press conference is to inform you of the forthcoming heads of National Drug Law Enforcement Agencies Africa with the acronym HONLAF conference, which Nigeria will host. It is a subsidiary body of United Nations Commission on Narcotic Drugs and a body under the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. The HONLAF meeting is an annual event that brings together heads of drug law enforcement agencies in Africa to discuss drug abuse and trafficking trends and develop actionable strategies to combat the scourge of this in the region. This HONLAF meeting features a lineup of activities that include technical meetings, paper presentations, deliberations on reports and trends of trafficking in drugs, workshops and bilateral talks among member nations. It is a platform for brokering collaborations in the areas of shared intelligence, joint training and joint operations against international drug cartels in the African region. This year, Nigeria has the honor of being the chair and host of the meeting. So it means delegates from 53 other African countries will converge on the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, on Monday, and for the rest of the week, there will be the guest of NDLEA and the federal government of Nigeria. Aside from delegates from African countries, there will be representatives from observer bodies and other non-African countries who will be attending the conference.
I think we are only at the beginning in this journey, and I think we need to further up our collective efforts, and certainly with the new Proceeds of Crime Act that was passed last year, there's a huge opportunity to do exactly that. Then there is the issue of measures to counter illicit manufacturing and diversion of precursor chemicals. I think according to an assessment that was done jointly with NAFDAC and the Ministry of Health about maybe 2 years ago, with the support also of UNODC, we found that certain precursor chemicals that are being typically used in the production of illicit drugs are being imported in large quantities into Nigeria, and it is not always clear whether these chemicals are actually being consumed by the legal market, which of course exists for those. So I think another very topical discussion point. And finally, the link of drugs and the environment. This is a topic that has gained a lot of prominence in the international conversation. Actually, the last 2023 World Drug Report dedicated a full chapter to the topic. And as you might recall, when we did UNODC in partnership with all the national stakeholders, the cannabis survey about 2 years ago, we actually found that cannabis cultivation is a significant contributor to deforestation in the country. So again, something I think where we can gain from comparing notes with other countries and learning from them. On the occasion of the opening of the HONLAF meeting, UNODC and the Nigerian Institute for Security Studies will be launching a very significant report on the organized crime threats that are currently facing Nigeria, the so-called Nigeria Organized Crime Threat Assessment. Now that report has been compiled with the contributions of 22 law enforcement agencies, of course very prominently the NDLEA itself, and we look forward to sharing that report for the very first time on the occasion of the opening but then of course also in subsequent meetings and opportunities to discuss much deeper what can we actually learn from the data that was collected as part of the report, and what do we do now about it, which is, I think, always the most important conversation to take place.